Alright.
Hey everybody. Good morning! Good morning! Welcome to Midsummer Scream 2017. You guys are here early on Sunday. Thank you very much for doing it. We really appreciate it. So you are in the performance stage, just in case you didn't know where you were. And just some positive looks on the So I'm very pleased to announce our first group of the day. It's a great way to start our Sunday and start our second day of Midsummer Scream. Midnight Marinar, everyone!
Thank you, Ben, for the intro, and thank you all for coming out. Welcome to Midnight Marinar's first appearance at Midsummer Scream, or at any proper horror convention for that matter. We appreciate you guys coming out. What is Midnight Marinara? Well, what we do is we take creepypasta stories or other internet horror fiction, we actually adapt them into full-on audio dramas and radio plays. We're going to kind of explore as we go through this panel what creepypasta is, sort of through the lens of, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what creepypasta actually is, but also we're going to have a lot of fun in the process doing some scripts that we've done over the years, a couple of live shows, and one we haven't performed live before. In fact, I think that's how we'll start. So, considering we're at a horror convention, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do a story about a horror convention and some of the weird stuff that happens there? So we have an original play for you that is called Fate. And who here, show of hands, who here is familiar with the story Abandoned by Disney? Anyone? Well, a couple hands, that's good. The author of that story, Slimebeast, wrote this one for our show, and we're really happy about that.
He didn't write it for us. He wrote it behind the scenes and says, hey, never make this, and then we just went ahead and
That's true. And if anyone wants to come meet Slimebeast after the show, he's right there.
We actually got a girl's version of him.
Yep. He's adorable. Thank you. Alright. So without further ado, let's take you to SpookyCon 2017.
Welcome to SpookyCon, ma'am. I need to see your ID badge, please.
Oh, I'm Creepy Buttercup, one of the narrators. I'm a special guest, and I'm doing a panel and everything. I mean, you probably wouldn't recognize me since I don't show my face in videos.
Please keep your badge visible at all times. We suggest all visitors and guests wear the lanyard around their necks. Thank you.
Okay, well, if you say so. I mean, I'm here with Dr. Creepypasta, and he's the MVP guest speaker for the entire convention, so...
Badge where people can see it.
All right, Mr. Touchy, I'm doing it.
I can't believe I'm talking to the real Dr. Creepypasta. I loved your Halloween special where you read The Weird Case of Casey Weir. I couldn't sleep for like an entire week.
Hey, thanks. Make sure you keep listening, and I hope you're subscribed to the channel.
I told all my friends to listen to your stories. How do you think of all those scary ideas? Well... The scariest thing about this sometimes is that this is a live audio production.
This is almost as weird as The Weird Case of Casey Weir.
The Weird Case of Casey Weir.
Well, most of them come from the Creepypasta database, but my friend here writes some of the really good ones. They're channel exclusives.
Hello, I'm the Pasta Creep. That's Da, spelled D-A. Make sure you spell it that way when you search for my channel. In fact, if you have your phone on you, I can get you subscribed right now.
You know Dr. Creepypasta?
Sure, we're good friends. I saw his stories in the database and asked if he could write them exclusively for my channel. It's a win-win because I get to be the only one who narrates his work, and he gets to join me at conventions and stuff.
I also do my own narrations. I'll be as big as a good doctor here someday.
I don't know about that, but keep the stories coming.
I'm Uncle Pasta. I'm friends with Dr. Creepypasta too. And I read stuff as well. Sometimes I do like
real-life murder files and gruesome accident stuff.
Well, I'm sure we'll be sure to check out you guys out too. Thanks for sending all the books, Dr. Creepypasta.
No problem. Thanks for buying them and supporting the Creepypasta community. Hey, you know, we have these t-shirts and hats as well, plus we're going to have plushies on our website soon. You could go to bed hugging Dr. Creepypasta every night to keep the scary things away.
Thanks, but I got a lot to look at, so I'll come back by a little later.
So why exactly did you introduce him and not me? I'm the newer channel. I need more promotion than he does.
I'm sorry, but I thought you were just doing the upkeep and moderation on the website. Weren't you hired on to keep creepypastacollective.net running?
People said I had a good voice and that I should start posting narrations. It's not my fault that the fans demanded it.
Relax, guys. There's plenty of room in our group for new narrators, especially since we picked up Pastasaurus and Creepy Keith.
Screw Keith. we had the same problem before. Screw Creepy Keith. I mean, I'm a nice guy, but that idiot deserves to die in a plane crash with his whole extended family aboard.
Well, look who I found. Hello, boys.
Creepy Buttercup, made it.
I thought you were going to be at table 13 like last year.
The dumb organizers gave it away before I registered. It must have been a new guy who didn't know who I was. I got table 66, but it's not the same without the 36.
Well, it's nice to see you guys again. Hugs! Hugs!
Ooh, there, young lady. I'm an old man, but you're going to give me a heart attack with those full-boot hugs of yours. You can put Viagra out of business with those things, am I right?
We talked about this.
Hey, I followed Buttercup here, and you guys are really stuck out in the middle of nowhere this year.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. I'm going to talk to the convention staff, and if I make a rant video, I'll get a few million people pressuring them to give me the right to the table next year.
Hey, I don't think that we met. I'm Uncle Pasta.
Huh? Oh, yeah, you're the webmaster. Say, aren't you the guy who deleted all the threads about Guppy.jpg because the story was triggering all the special snowflakes?
Actually, I didn't think it met our quality standards for the site.
Right. Well, I'm Creepypasta Cook. I'm Dr. Creepypasta's brother-in-law. Hey, did you guys see a hot dog cart around here? I smell hot dogs.
Since we're all here, can we talk about our plans for 2017? I know I only have a few videos up, but...
Well, I need to move some of this merchandise. Tell you what, let's meet back in my room. We can talk about it then.
Sure, no problem.
Ooh, what a day. If you told me that being a creepypasta narrator involved this much standing, I probably would have done ASMR videos instead.
Hey, you get movies in here, your TV and mine isn't working. For some reason. Still static.
I really need to get someone to draw my narrator character. If you guys know anyone who would do it.
Oh yeah, there are tons of really great artists we can put the message out to. Just mention that they'll get free exposure on the channel and you'll get a bunch of fans spamming you with art.
I was thinking that since my name is Creepy Buttercup, maybe I could have like a plant theme, vines for hair, thorn talons and stuff like that. Basically just me in real life, but like poison ivy.
You should be covered in butter instead. No offense, but your avatar should probably be thinner too.
Sure.
You get more repeat interactions and repeat viewings if you do the emoteens and wet drink or two.
It's nothing personal, just branding. Like how I'm short, but the Pasta Creep, my character, is really tall and muscular.
Hey, what are the rules on the minibar?
Didn't you just have a hot dog?
Nah, it turns out the smell was convention BO. Lots and lots of BO.
So, back on topic. My channel.
Listen, I gotta be the voice of truth here. You gotta build your channel on your own. Just because Dr. Creepypasta here is the face of Creepypasta doesn't mean he can just plug you a few times and make you famous.
Isn't that exactly how you got started?
No. I got where I am because I'm good at what I do. Sure, the plugs from the doctor brought in a few 100,000 views, but the fans come to listen to me, not because I know more notable people.
Yeah, sure.
Call me crazy, but it doesn't sound like you're convinced.
Boys,
This has been a long time coming. The pasta creep here thinks just because he writes the intrusive stories, he matters more to the group than me. Anyone can hack out some serial killer schlock. Let's see you find someone who can install and edit WordPress like me.
Okay, that's enough.
Did you just call me a hack? Me? The king of darkness? Without my work, there would be no Dr. Creepypasta exclusives. We don't even need a website. We have YouTube channels.
I said... Yeah, that's right. I'm not really Dr. Creepypasta. I'm the demon he sold his soul to for fame.
What?
There was this whole thing I was gonna do where I possessed his body and killed all of his friends on convention night, and he'd be famous for the gruesome murders instead of his horrible videos.
So, you actually lured us here to murder us.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if it's even worth it, though. You're all such horrible, obnoxious people.
What's funny? Did you hear that demon voice shtick? He's not kidding.
I'm sorry. It's just that, well, I'm a Wendigo.
This isn't the time for jokes, jackass.
No, seriously. The real DePasta Creep hit a bad case of writer's block, so he went out to the woods for inspiration, which inspired me to eat him, but due to an ancient curse, I became him.
You know, I suspected something was wrong because you weren't British anymore. You're usually British.
Yeah.
I guess, if we're all being honest here,
Don't tell me.
Uncle Pasta's my twin brother. Our parents separated us and made me live in the outhouse up on the hill, where I could see into his room and vicariously watch the life I could never have. I stabbed him to death last night. He's crying in the bathtub back in my room.
You're his evil twin?
The evil one? Me? Have you met that asshole?
So, I'm just wearing Creepypasta Cook's face. Here, look. Oh, jeez.
Whoa,
I mean, I
no.
made a gun, but
Okay, we do not need to see that.
Yeah, I just found it lying around. Figured I'd see how long it took you guys to notice. I guess you had bigger things on your minds.
So, if I have everything straight here, none of us are real.
I am. I'm real. I'm not a ghost or an alien or anything like that. I'm double jointed, but only my thumbs, and I guess that's not really the same thing.
Well... So... do we kill her, or...
Nah.
Not much point in it, is there? I mean, if I can't infiltrate a close-knit group of friends and kill them off one by one, I don't know, I guess I'm just not into that.
How about we all just walk out that door? We go our separate ways, start over, and pretend none of this happened.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I should probably wash all this blood off my gross-ass face.
So that's an interesting turn of events. I have no group of narrators to help me grow my channel. But then again, now there is no competition, no one to stand in the way of the mechanoid empire. Ha 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 ha.
Seriously, you wore his face?
Found it.
All right, so maybe a bit of a rocky start, but I think we picked it up pretty well. Thank you to, where did he go?
He's walking off stage.
Okay, thank you to Bisme from the Ray Gun Readers podcast for being our special guest for this one. Thank you, Bisme. And we should probably introduce ourselves while we're up here, since we didn't get a chance to do that earlier. I'm David. I'm the creator of Midnight Marinara and the Undercooked Analysis podcast, the spin-off podcast. You'll notice there are some of our crew wearing the rad UCA shirts there. I basically produce it, edit it. It's almost a one-man show, the Midnight Marinara part, at least until I get these guys involved. And and then it turns into a whole thing. So let's move down the line here. Over here we have my good friend Matt Hawley.
Hi, how's it going? I do voices and stuff for the channel whenever he needs them. So, yay.
Next down is my good friend and co-host Ed Pallet.
And I write my own original stories and then narrate them myself, and then I kind of contacted him, and so now I'm a part of this.
Way to downplay everything. Next down the line is Alan Ching.
Hi, I'm a voice actor, stand-up comedian, co-host of Undercooked Analysis. I have my own horror channel too where I write stuff and adopt.
And next down is my producer, Kayla Berry.
Hello, I produce Midnight Marinara and I'm a co-host on Undercooked Analysis.
All right.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our crew. Now, really, again, thank you guys for all turning out. This is going to be interesting. So we have a couple more shows to present to you, a couple more scripts, but really quickly I want to talk a bit about sort of the way people perceive creepypasta. So like, who here is familiar with creepypasta? I assume most of you will. Show of hands? Okay. All right. Dead Pallet, for those not in the know, what do you think would define creepypasta? There's a lot of different ways to do it.
Yeah, so there's kind of a problem that you have when you're talking about creepypasta, because it used to just be a term for a very specific kind of internet horror stories. Very short internet horror stories designed to make you feel weird. But then, as people's writing horizons kind of expanded, people started using the term creepypasta to describe any kind of horror that came from the internet at all, and it kind of lost its special meaning. And that's something that we're trying to do, is like restore the old meaning of very specific kinds of realistic stories with like just a hint of oddity in there.
It's our ultimate goal in the end, and one of the things we do is we, with Undercooked Analysis, our spin-off show, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, is we look at creepypasta sort of blind and kind of analyze it based on its writing merits or its failings. We never insult the author, we just want to try and critique the work to see if we can make the genre as a whole better.
And we'll even say, like, hey, maybe the story isn't good in terms of our genre. Maybe it's not the kind of genre we like, but this isn't something. Let's try and figure out what it is.
Exactly. So, in that context, I think it might be good to move on to another story. Who's familiar with the term fridge horror? Well, I will... Okay, good.
I read ahead.
I would hope so. I will explain what that is when we get to the end, but pay attention. This one might be a little subtle. This next story is called Ability.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
They're very loud. Kind of leading into our show. So I think we should be louder leading to theirs. Sweet Caroline!
Ba, ba, ba.
Good to go?
Good to go.
Right on. Our story begins at a subway station in Osaka. Sam is relatively new to life in Japan, but seems to be adapting pretty well. Sam often takes a subway to work in the morning, and this morning is no different. Well, almost no different. Good morning.
Ah, good morning, Sam. You're here early. How's life treating you?
Not too bad. Can't complain. Figured I'd get out of my apartment, maybe kill some time before the train comes.
Ah, well, I welcome the company. I do find it a little odd you come here to kill time without me.
Well, I admit, I've been trying to figure something out.
Pig!
There he is, just like I thought.
Who, that homeless man?
That's right. Just called that fat woman a pig. Where did you point? There.
Yes, I've seen him before. He comes through here every so often, begging for money.
Yeah, I heard him a couple days ago, muttering as people went by, and I've been trying to figure him out. He insults people, and he still expects them to give him money?
It's strange. Here, let's see if he says anything else to that businessman going by.
Is the right word here?
Yes, yes.
Human.
Human? That's human. Can't argue with that, though. Obviously, the guy is human.
He really makes no sense, honestly. Most people just ignore him.
Understandable. He's not going to make much money that way.
Cow.
All right, I'm just confused now.
About what?
He called that skinny, haggard-looking man a cow. It looks more like a chicken or turkey to me.
Potato.
And there, that fat man just now. I just assumed they called fat people pigs.
There's no real rhyme or reason to him, Sam. He's crazy. Just stands around with his cup and mutters or calls out random nonsense to people. It's not worth bothering over.
It doesn't bother me. It's just weird.
Like I said, he's crazy.
Rabbit. Rabbit. Rabbit.
No, there's definitely some system or pattern to what he's saying. I just can't figure it out.
Were you just so bored that you wanted to figure this out?
No, I mean, look, I just have this hunch. I've been forming it since I last saw the guy.
Onion.
See? That doesn't mean anything.
But I'm starting to think it does. He was doing the same thing when I saw him before, and I thought it was just insults. He seems to be doing it fairly deliberately, but the answers don't line up to be just ridicule. I think he might have some kind of power, like psychic ability.
Now you're the one that sounds crazy.
Sheep. Sheep.
Sheep. Just give me a chance. It seems random, but I have a theory that he can tell what people were in their past lives. Like reincarnation. That's why he says such random things to people as they pass him.
Tomato.
Then why not go over and ask him?
What? No, I couldn't.
Why not? You could stand here with me and speculate forever. Or you could go ask him yourself. And you could put some money in his cup. It's the least you can do for giving you a little entertainment. What's the worst that can happen? You look stupid?
All right, then. I will. Watch me. Oh, personal space.
Bread.
Here you go, sir. So listen. I've noticed you here saying some odd things to people as they go by, me included. And I was wondering, do you have some sort of psychic ability?
Yes, indeed, I do have a psychic ability. It is an ability I obtained years ago. But it's not what you might expect. I can't tell the future or read minds or anything in that ilk.
Oh, then what is your ability?
The ability is merely to know the last thing somebody ate.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get it now. Hey, thanks for clearing that up. Have a good day.
Take care. I smell it. Del Taco. that's.
Well, what did you find out?
I was right. He has an ability, but it's to know the last thing someone ate. He said bread as I came up to him, and I had toast this morning.
Really? That's his power?
Yeah. All the psychic abilities someone could have, that one must be the most useless.
So did anyone excuse me. So did anyone get the twist in there? Few?
Yes.
So the idea of fridge horror is somewhere buried in the context of the story. It's just a neat little thing. You might not notice it at first, but then by the end, you kind of sits there and you think about it and you go, oh.
Yeah, the fridge horror is when you go to the bathroom after Del Taco.
Leftovers, man.
Is anyone brave enough to say that they didn't get it?
Anyone?
Anyone at all?
Oh.
We got
All right.
one person.
So the ability, which is knowing the last thing someone ate earlier in the story, he pointed to a businessman and said,
Human.
"Thank you for being brave. Come see me after the show. I have something for you."
Yeah.
All right. But that's one kind of example of, I think, a more classic creepypasta in more of the context of what it used to be, which was these anecdotal little strange fiction, almost, you know, subtle horror stories.
And we did kind of like change up the story by adapting it into a little audio drama, but that used to be like a little 3-paragraph story.
Right. The setting, which was specifically Osaka, Japan, was one of the things we kept, because in its original context was, oh, I live in Osaka, and here's a strange thing that happened to me. And writing it, it's possible that the author or the narrator did not perceive the same fridge horror element, which is really interesting, which I think is a really interesting aspect of that story. That's why I thought it would be fun to adapt. And much like a lot of creepypasta stories, we don't know the name of the original author of this one. A lot of these stories originated on anonymous boards, 4chan, and things like that.
4chan's export was a big place for it.
There are, of course, creepypasta that do become very popular and then kind of rise into the public consciousness. I'm sure many people will show of hands. Slenderman. Slenderman? Okay, that's a lot of people. They're not all necessarily good examples, you know. The Smile Dog. Anybody know about the Smile Dog? Okay, there's a few. Jeff the Killer.
David's favorite. No, it's not.
Well, those are what we personally would define as kind of icon pasta.
Yeah.
Sort of the idea that they're just characters that are, you know, they sort of move beyond what the story is and they lodge in popular consciousness, not because the story is particularly scary per se, but they have a persona that grabs onto a sort of zeitgeist.
And they're kind of in the same vein of slasher killers and those kinds of horror movies. They're the creepypasta equivalent of that.
Yeah, pretty much. Some of them can be really awesome, but then get moved out of their context and become ridiculous. Some of them were ridiculous to begin with, but they appeal to a certain demographic. So one of the things we want to do, one of the things we try to do is sort of be like, pull away from that, look back at what it originally was, and see if this is maybe how we would define creepypasta.
Yeah.
There is one story, though, that did become pretty popular, and we all think is pretty good.
Yeah.
And we want to share that one with you right now. I think this one we won't mention the title of to start with. We'll just see if you guys figure this one out. Whenever you guys are ready, let's get this started. Standing is good for you, do it. And to be fair, I will kick this one off with the opening title here. Net Nostalgia Forum, television, local, Skyshale 033, subject, Candle Cove, local kids show.
Does anyone remember this kids show? It was called Candle Cove. I must have been 6 or 7. I never found reference to it anywhere, so I think it was on a local station around 1971 or 1972. I lived in Ironton at the time. I don't remember which station, but I do remember it was on at a weird time, like 4 p.m.
Mike Painter, 65. Subject, RE Candle Cove, local kids show? It seems really familiar to me. I grew up outside of Ashland and was 9 years old in 72. Candle Cove, was it about pirates? I remember a pirate marionette at the mouth of a cave talking to a little girl.
Skyshale 33, subject, Candle Cove local kids show? Yes. Okay, I'm not crazy. I remember Pirate Percy. I was always kind of scared of him. He looked like he was built from parts of other dolls, real low budget. His head was an old porcelain baby doll. Looked like an antique that didn't belong on the body. I don't remember what station this was. I don't think it was WTS yet, though.
Jared, 2005. Sorry to resurrect this old thread, but I know exactly what show you mean, Skyshale. I think Candle Cove ran for only a couple of months in 71, not 72. I was 12 and I watched it a few times with my brother. The channel was 58, whatever station that was. My mom would let me switch to it after the news. Let me see what I remember. It took place in Candle Cove, and it was about a little girl who imagined herself to be friends with pirates. The pirate ship was called the Laughing Stock, and Pirate Percy wasn't a very good pirate because he got scared so easily. There was this Calliope music playing constantly. I don't remember the girl's name. Janice or Jade or something. I think it was Janice.
Skyshield 33. Thank you, Jaren. Memories flooded back when you mentioned the laughing stock in Channel 58. I remember the bow of the ship was a wooden smiling face with a lower jaw submerged. It looked like it was swallowing the sea, and it had that awful Ed Wynn voice and laugh. I just remember how jarring it was when they switched from the wooden plastic model to the foam puppet version of that Ed that talked.
Mike Painter, 65. Haha, I remember now too. Winky face. Do you remember this part? Sky Shale? You have to go inside.
Skyshield 33. Mike, I got a chill reading that. Yes, I remember. That's what the ship always told Percy when there was a spooky place he had to go in. Like a cave or a dark room where the treasure was. And the camera would push in on Laughingstock's face and with each eyes. You have to go inside. With his two eyes askew and that flopping foam jaw and the fishing line that opened and closed it. Ugh, looked so cheap and awful. You guys remember the villain? He had a face that was just a handlebar mustache above a really tall narrow teeth.
Kevin _Hart. I honestly thought that the villain was Pirate Percy. I was about 5 when the show was on, but man, was it nightmare fuel.
Jared, 2005. That wasn't the villain, the puppet with the mustache. That was the villain's sidekick, Horace Horrible. He had a monocle, too. It was on top of his mustache. I used to think it meant that he only had one eye. But yeah, the villain was another marionette. The Skin Taker. I can't believe they let us watch that back then.
Kevin _Hart. Jesus H. Christ, the Skin Taker. What kind of a kid's show were we watching? I seriously couldn't look at the screen when the Skin Taker showed up. He just descended out of nowhere on his strings, just a dirty skeleton wearing that brown top hat and cape. His glass eyes that were too big for his skull. Christ almighty.
Skyshield 33. Wasn't his top hat and cloak all sewed crazily? Was that supposed to be children's skin?
Mike Painter, 65. Yeah, I think so. Remember his mouth didn't open and close? His jaw just slid back and forth. I remember the little girl said, "Why does your mouth move like that?" And the Skin Taker didn't look at the girl with the camera and said, "To grind your skin."
Skyshield 33. I'm so relieved that other people remember that terrible show. I used to have this awful memory, a bad dream I had where the opening musical ended, the show faded in from black, and all the characters were there. But the camera was just cutting to each of their faces, and they were just screaming, and the puppets and marionettes were flailing spastically and just all screaming. The girl was just moaning and crying like she had been through hours of this. I woke up many times from that nightmare. I used to wet the bed when it happened.
Kevin _Hart. I don't think that was a dream. I remember that. I remember that was an episode.
Skyshield 33. No, not possible. There was no plot or anything. I mean, literally, just standing in place crying and screaming for the whole show.
Kevin _Hart. Maybe I'm manufacturing the memory because you said that, but I swear to God I remember what you described. They just screamed.
Jared, 2005. Oh God, yes, the little girl, Janice. I remember seeing her shape, and the Skin Taker screaming through his gnashing teeth, his jaw careening so wildly I thought it'd come off its wire hinges. I turned it off, and that was the last time I watched. I ran to tell my brother, and we didn't have the courage to turn it back on.
Mike Painter, 65. I visited my mom today at the nursing home. I asked her about when I was little in the early 70s and when I was 8 or 9, and if she remembered a kids show, Candle Cove. She said she was surprised I could remember that, and I asked why, and she said, "Because I used to think it was so strange that you said, 'I'm gonna go watch Candle Cove now, Mom,' and then you would tune the TV to static and just watch dead air for 30 minutes. You had a big imagination with your little pirate show."
That was excellent, guys. Nice work. So who here was familiar with Candle Cove before coming in here? Anyone? All right. Oh, actually, quite a few.
Everybody.
Yeah. If anybody has seen sci-fi, they've probably seen Channel Zero. They did an adaptation of this into their
And I'm
first.
sorry if you've seen it.
We're personally not the biggest fans of that. That's us thing. We prefer the story in its original
Man,
context.
it's not an official Midnight Marinar episode. It certainly is a lot of shade right now.
Which is ironic because the host of the show, the mysterious pasta shade, is a shade, so of course he throws it. Anyway, but Candle Cove I think is important to understand from why it works because it is presented in its original context. Any thoughts on that one, you guys? Why Candle Cove works the way it does? What people maybe don't understand about it?
Candle Cove works so well as it does because it's not presenting itself as a story. It's presenting itself as, here is this document that happened. People were on a forum talking about something that they're nostalgic about, and they just opened up a thread. And everyone together started having these memories flood back to them. And so it's an elaborate staged thing, and that's what's so beautiful about it. And they tried to make a show out of a series of people talking on the internet. Kind of missing the point, you know?
It's tricky when you're trying to adapt anything, and I think there are possibly better ways it could have been done, but again, we try to adapt it our own way, and honestly the best way to do it is just read the story verbatim, which is exactly what we did. That story is by Chris Straub, who was known originally for a site called Icor Falls, but kind of branched out into other stuff. He does Chainsaw Suit, he does a few other things like that, and it still holds up, Candle Cove. I think it's still a great story. Now, we've talked for a little bit about the show. We've done a couple shows for you, but there is, of course, Undercooked Analysis, our nice little spin-off podcast where it's a completely different thing in that there's no script, there's no plan, and most of the time there's no filters. Basically what we do is we read a story blind, as I said earlier, and we analyze it. And Kayla was actually kind enough to send us a story that none of us have read before today, and we're going to read it and analyze it right now in the typical Undercooked Analysis fashion to sort of close things out. Kayla, what have you sent us?
This story is called Imprisoned, and it's an anonymous story, or it's written by an anonymous individual, and it was just recommended that a lot of people say read it. It's hilarious, so I believe it's probably a bad creepypasta, but it is short. So.
All too often we do run across bad creepypasta, and the majority of creepypasta, objectively, you could say, is bad. So, I mean, that's just what...
Oh no, I accidentally scrolled down to the last line. This is going to be fantastic.
All right, so we're going to do this popcorn style. Again, we don't know what we're reading necessarily, so we'll go down the line, if that's fair. I'm going to go ahead and volunteer myself to read the first paragraph. We're going to read it paragraph by paragraph, and then if we need to stop and talk about it, we will do so. So, without further ado...
And it's going to be great after this when we get out and it turns out Alan didn't drop a single F-bomb.
All right. The story again is called Imprisoned. 1,000 years is a long time to think. It's long enough to think about all those who have wronged you in the past, those who have loved you, those who you will never see again.
Tomorrow will mark my 1000th year of captivity, and I shall finally be free. Free to release those poor souls enslaved by their own ignorance. I can't blame them, though. It's not their fault. They've been brainwashed into believing there is nothing else in this world. They have been brainwashed that nothing bad ever happens. I cannot forgive this.
So we don't have a whole lot of context as to what's going
Not
on.
really. It's very prosy. Very prosy to start with.
We have been flung into a world.
Yeah.
Full of someone being extremely dramatic and being in prison for 1,000 years?
Yes.
They believe they are free. However, their freedom is merely an illusion. They are, of course, free to do anything they want so long as it doesn't cause anybody to question their authority. So yeah, that sounds like freedom.
Yeah.
Sounds like complete bodily autonomy.
Are we dealing with an android?
You are free to do as I tell you. I was not the first to question. However, being a relative, I was shown mercy and imprisoned, rather than being skinned alive and having each limb hacked off one by one before being thrown into the fires. Alright. Many have suffered such deaths for their insolence. I almost wish I had joined them so many years ago.
Their screams and pleas for forgiveness haunt my dreams, never to leave me so long as I live. Every night I look upon the landscape from my prison and remember the way it used to be so long ago.
So we're like 5 paragraphs in now, guys. What is happening in this story?
It just feels like it's just elongating the...
If anyone sees a narrative, let us know.
Hello? Narrative!
So, I mean, all that we have so far is people are being imprisoned and they can live for, and it's 1,000 years of imprisonment.
They're in prison, but they're free to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Or at least one person was in prison, and everybody else is like pseudo-imprisoned, but our 1,000-year imprisonment relative to whoever this is, it's just like, it's worse for me though, because like everybody else who disobeys gets cut apart in a gory fashion, so that's fun.
Yay!
The denizens now know not. Is that a weird paragraph, or is that just me?
No.
The denizens now know not of any other way anymore.
That's a strange way to explain this.
Can you read that again for emphasis?
The denizens now know not of any other way anymore. Generation upon generation of slaves taught that they're all-powerful and loving rulers, benevolent, and anybody who questions this is the purest form of evil.
There you go. There you go.
How's that emphasis for it? The smart ones never last very long. They get sent on a quest for knowledge, far away from the rest. I'm sensing fantasy world, definitely fantasy world.
I was going to say, this kind of reminds me of, what's that famous poem where,
Oh God, I scrolled down too.
You just saw what it is. Yes.
Guys,
Just wait.
come on.
I'm saying, no, it's going to be working.
Yeah, me too.
No, I was going to say, there's one famous story where it's all from the point of view of the devil, and it's very sympathetic towards him. It's a very famous story, and I can't think of it. It's a very famous...
Paradise Lost.
Thank you, Paradise Lost.
Thank you, Disney. Educated.
Oh, why'd you do it, Alan?
I'm that guy.
No one's gonna get the in-joke, though, if we do that.
No.
Oh, Lord.
We just lost a round of drinks thanks to Alan.
I guess my turn.
I thought that just meant I don't get a drink.
No.
Oh, wow.
Really everyone.
I've seen it thousands of times, thousands of poor souls abandoned in the hot desert to die of dehydration, or to be devoured by the many wild beasts in the wilderness. Around 3 days' travel into the desert is where the bones begin to litter the landscape, bleached white after years of baking in the unforgiving sun.
June?
Giant sandworms! Also giant sandworms.
The spice must flow.
This just sounds like California.
Barstow, there you go. Thank you.
Any Californians in the audience? The trap is really quite ingenious. I must give credit where it's due. Once the young begin asking too many questions, their presence is formally requested at the royal chamber. Oh boy.
I don't like where this is going.
There's no earthly way
It is.
of knowing.
It is then that they are told that they must go west past the desert for the knowledge they seek. Once they gain the knowledge that they are rewarded with their own kingdom to rule, but they must go alone. They are told they need only bring 1 day's worth of food and water and nothing else. Not a single soul has ever returned.
Dun, dun, dun.
For this is why I must get my revenge. I must open their eyes to the truth.
Hold on, that's blocks, man. You gotta do the emphasis.
Oh. For this is why I must get my revenge. I must open their eyes to the truth. Even if it hurts.
Do some ridiculous pantomiming. I must
Open their eyes to the truth. Even if it hurts to know they've been lied to for so long.
The funny thing about the truth is, it never goes away entirely. It always manages to find a way out. My story has been told since the beginning. At first it was only behind closed doors, where nobody could hear in order to escape the wrath. Eventually the tables got turned, and it is a bedtime, I decided to correct it. And it's a bedtime story to warn the young hidden under the guise of me being the evil party.
You know, evil parties are okay in D&D every so often. Maybe
Oh, those are fun, man.
Yeah.
Evil parties are great.
I want to go kill all the NPCs.
Well, I mean, don't be stupid, evil.
No.
You're gonna kick puppies too?
I'm gonna kill all the NPCs in my own time. Like it's gonna take a little bit, but it's gonna happen over the course of the campaign.
All right.
So this
I
is
got off on a tangent there.
Yeah.
so this is just straight up Paradise Lost.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is this parrot? Oh no, I scrolled down.
I haven't yet.
Good.
It's going to be so worth it to say it out loud in front of these people.
Are you gonna be the one who gets to say it?
No, Matt is.
Oh,
And Matt's gonna like it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Go. Okay. I want this.
None of that matters anymore. The only thing that matters is tomorrow. Tomorrow I am free. There's big emphasis on free.
All right, here we go.
Go ahead.
My first act of freedom in 1,000 years will be exacting my revenge and killing my sister. Oh, gosh.
I will kill you, Celestial!
Oh,
yeah! It's a
oh my God, it's a My Little Pony story. At first I thought like some emo kid got grounded and they started writing in their journal about how angry they were, but holy crap. Okay.
It's not.
That's actually basically what happened.
But here's the thing, writing-wise,
You're not wrong.
here's the thing, writing-wise, it's not terrible.
No.
Like, the grammar's correct. It's
on points.
that's most of it.
It's a horse cartoon.
But it's based off a horse cartoon.
Pastel-colored horses, blood and gore and revenge.
We go from,
Comes to mind.
I
My miniature Equine.
I like that we go from Paradise Lost to colorful.
We just did Paradise Lost through the scope of colorful horses.
Yes.
I mean,
Where did you find this?
Whose fault is this?
This is my fault. I actually typed up short, bad, creepypasta.
Well, I mean, it wasn't as bad as last year's.
No.
That was
Last
bad.
year's was horrible.
Well, we just did that to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
we sometimes we have a little bit of preparedness when we come into these, just a little. Usually the story has a reputation, but sometimes we just get something completely out of the woodwork that we're not ready for. And this was relatively easy compared to some of the stuff we've had to slog through.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. So we have about 5 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions at all? Literally anything.
You should probably plug what it is that we do again one more time.
Okay, that's fair. That's actually a good question. What do you guys do again? Well, I'm glad you asked an honest voice out in the ether. Such a good ventriloquist. We do the Midnight Marinara podcast. That's the main game of the show. You can find us on benviewnetwork.com/midnightmarinara. If you want to grab a card for that, they're right there by Slime Beast. Thank you, Slime Beast, for your contribution. You can also find Undercooked Analysis podcast, if that's more your cup of tea, over on the same place, benviewnetwork.com/UCA. And
There are F-bombs in that.
yes, not safe for work, the majority of that.
People getting ripped limb from limb, but you didn't drop an F-bomb, so we're fine.
Yeah, we're okay. It's a horror convention. Like, that's essentially PG around here.
Yeah.
They don't
There's
swear
also-
in movies?
Both Undercooked Analysis and Marinara are on a YouTube channel called Midnight Marinara. They booked us at the wrong time. It is noon now, which is literally the exact opposite.
It's midnight somewhere.
On the literal opposite side of the world. Exactly.
It's still somewhere. Somewhere out in that midnight, someone is getting
It's getting spooked?
Yep, right?
Yes.
Like that.
Thank you guys for.
No, those are the ghosts cheering back there.
That's a ghost.
No, Dusty, it's the
Dusty.
party. So,
Does anyone actually have a question?
Yeah, where are you guys located at? Like, are you like local or is it like a different state or something?
Us collectively, we tend to meet up online to do a lot of this stuff and that sort of thing. This is the first time all of us have been together in the same place. Myself, Kayla, Matt, we're all local. Dead Palette is from Ohio, flew out here, and Alan is from Kansas.
And he also flew out here.
I ran, can't you tell?
We ran so far away. But yeah, so we're sort of local. Like we're based out of Orange County, but the rest of these people we just kind of dragged and said, hey, we're finally at work. This is gonna be awesome. And it was. So thank you guys for coming out.
I'm from Park, Kansas. We have a Waffle House now.
Any other questions?
I'd be interested in this, like how would I be able to like get myself into this kind of like spectrum of like what you guys do with like the podcast?
First, get a good microphone. Just
Yeah.
get a Yeti. They're great money.
Love Blue Yeti.
I'm not even paid to say this.
I know it's sponsored by Blue Yeti.
Yeti, but like.
It's a pretty good starter mic. It's very reliable.
Because like you don't want to like cut and edit and put like 5, 10, 15 hours in your video, and then you kind of sound like this, like you're garbage. Like you don't want to sound like garbage. Like that's gonna immediately turn people off.
Get rid of room. If there's room tone, if you can hear room tone, find a way to soundproof your space. That's a good way.
I use a closet.
But if you're asking to be involved with us, we're actually very open to talking to people, and we kind of have built a pretty big community of actors and actresses that help out with productions and stuff.
We've had, can I brag for a second here?
Yeah.
We've had some cool people join us for Midnight Marinara, specifically. Anyone familiar with Overwatch? Darren DePaul, the voice of Reinhardt, has been on our show a couple times, good friend of ours. Kira Buckland, she's got too many roles. Rena Chan.
She voiced the character in Nier, I think.
2B. She voiced 2B in Nier Automata.
Oh, and we had Dino Andrade. He voiced Scarecrow from Arkham Asylum. If you played like World of Warcraft, he was Professor Putricide. He also did a lot of gnome voices. It's pretty dope.
A lot of that's going over my head.
Well, too bad. I quit.
That's fine. All right, that's fair. But yeah, no, we're always open, and we're off season right now. We're going to be kicking back up in October. When we do, we want to actually open the floor to more original audio dramas and original submissions. I think we've run the gamut for a lot of the classic creepypasta or good creepypasta that are unknown and think need a little bit of a pick-me-up. But now we are in the running. So actually, if anyone's interested in even throwing anything at us, we have all our contact information is right here on these cards. So feel free to come up and.
Show's almost over. Don't tell them to throw stuff at us.
And so far, no one's thrown stuff at us. That's a good sign. Also, if you want to come talk to any of us after the panel, we will be at throughout the day. We're going to be at booth 557A.
That is correct. Downstairs, booth 557A.
He's selling art. His counterpart, Chelsea Comer, is also selling her art. Worth looking into.
And we're open to chat.
What?
You can come loiter at our table. We don't care.
Yeah, you can loiter. It's cool. We like you guys. You stay for the panel. I appreciate it. Any more quick questions, and then we gotta wrap. Yes.
What got you into creepypasta?
What got you into creepypasta?
Me, or just everybody?
Everybody.
Yes.
Okay. I've always liked horror. I've always liked finding stuff that's cool and spooky and easy to read. One Halloween, I just decided, hey, I want to read some horror. Looked it up, found some stuff I got into, and that was kind of how it started. It's accessible, which really helps.
I got into it because I thought, wow, this is a new kind of horror that I haven't seen anywhere else, and I find this really interesting. And I want to be a part of this and help develop it in any small way I can.
When I was a young man, I read Spawn. I really like the artwork, and Todd McFarlane. I actually like Rob Liefeld's artwork. I've been in that Wonder County's pretty dope. Black Adventure, pretty dope. But I really like monsters, and I like the grotesque imagery of monsters, Cthulhian, what have you, D&D. It's all good.
I was exposed to horror at a very young age. I'm related to Lon Chaney, so it's kind of my family legacy. Kind of in middle school, I got into the Silent Hill video game, and that like spun off into me like reading like Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft, and then as an adult I got into, regrettably, Marble Hornets, and was really into that for a while, and then I met these clowns.
Alan, where are you hiding the film reels to London After Midnight?
In a box in the woods.
Oh, okay. Good. Keep them safe. They're not going to degrade there, are they?
In the deep dark woods, there's a deep dark box. In that deep dark box, there's a deep dark film.
And Taylor?
I mean, I grew up genuinely liking creepy stuff. One of the first shows I grew up with, thanks to my mom, is Twilight Zone, so I think that. And then as I got older, I watched more horror movies, read more horror books and such, and actually it's thanks to this man, David King, who actually got me into Creepypasta after we started dating, and then he's like, yeah, you should check out my show, and I'm like, oh boy. And I listened to it, and I'm like, this is fantastic. Like, it's just amazing the quality that goes.
That's right, everybody just patting ourselves on the back here.
Back patting you, because unfortunately we do got to wrap up. But thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate your enthusiasm, and yeah, feel free to come see us after the show.
Yay!